This stream brought to you by matcha green tea lattes because they're delicious. Seriously though, this stream brought to you by Ian B, who donated to see, well, this in action. Hey folks, Phil Gallagher here of Thraben University for yet another legacy video. And we're playing with a brew today. We've done that a lot this week. So we're playing with Red-White Prison. I think I'm running about 72 of the 75 that the donor suggested, but I had some hesitation about the mana base, so I made some small adjustments. So let's take a look at what's going on with this deck list. We are essentially a red prison deck that has splashed white for stability, I think is the best way to put it. One of the problems with red prison as the game goes long is that you don't necessarily have any way to gain some life. So if you take too much damage off your Ancient Tombs, if your opponent has too aggressive of like a Delver start, or you're under the gun from an early Goblin Guide or something like that, you can have trouble stabilizing. Well, that's not true. You can stabilize, but at too low of a life total for your big cards to take over the game. So what the white splash is seeking to do is give you some life gain and some other angles of attack. So Stoneforge provides two different life gain outlets, as does Ajani Vengeance. Ajani Vengeance also threatens to just ruin a control player's day, or gives you a wonderful out against the Cloud Post decks. You have a Moon in play already, you keep their random green source tapped down, no Krosan Grip for them, GG. The card that you might not be familiar with unless you play other formats is Nahiri the Harbinger. So its +2 is a looting effect, so you can turn your dead lock pieces into live cards. And the -2 exiles an enchantment, a tapped artifact, or a tapped creature. So this serves as another piece of removal, as well as some degree of utility. Note that it doesn't deal with any artifact. So something like a Batterskull or a Sword of Fire and Ice that's not tapped, you cannot target that. Womp womp. But Nahiri's ultimate lets you search your library for an artifact or creature, put it onto the battlefield, shuffle your library. It gains haste, bounce it at the beginning of the next end step. So we have a one of Emrakul the Aeon's Torn here. So if you get to ultimate Nahiri, you get an Emrakul attack for your trouble. Seems pretty good. I have left everything other than the lands completely intact that the donor did. The donor did not have a basic mountain and had a split of fetch lands. So, and the donor also had a one of Dark Depths. The idea being that if you have a Blood Moon or Magus of the Moon in play, you can play Dark Depths, it has no counters, and then you can remove it with your Nahiri to get a 20/20. I was really worried that, not being able to get a basic mountain was just going to lose us way too many games versus Delver. If you look at our count of basics versus non-basics in this deck, we have the 12 normal wastelandable targets, but then we also have 4 plateaus in addition to that. So I'm really leery about the mana base in the first place. So I don't think we can get cute with that sort of thing. It's a cool backdoor win, but I would rather have access to a basic mountain and more consistent fetch lands than anything else. So the original list had, I think, Caracas, Dark Depths, and a split of fetch lands, whereas I've just gone full Arid Mesa so they can always fetch mountain and plains. I mean, I think Red Prison is one of the best decks in the format right now, just, full stop, because it's so good against Breach that, even if you're playing some different variant of Prison that's maybe worse than Red Prison, I think you still end up in a very good place. The sideboard has a bunch of traditional Karn stuff, as well as 3 ensnaring bridges that we can bring in. In game 1, we're sort of a mix of aggro and control. We have the Stoneforge and Stoneforge and Rabblemaster things that are sort of aggressive elements and the Planeswalkers that are controlling. For when we're going to be mostly winning with our Planeswalkers, we can board in the Ensnaring Bridges and board out most of this stuff to sort of swap the texture of our deck. Hey, we played Curses twice on stream this week. Leyline main deck was gas. Other than that, we have two things in the sideboard worth pointing out. Number one, we have a Spellskite as a Karn target, or something that we can just bring in when appropriate. Number two, we have a Sword of Fire and Ice, so if we want to go a little heavier on the Stoneforge Mystic package, we can. The other person I want to thank today is Fine and Andy, who generously has gifted, I think, 4 or 5 subs over the last couple of days. And that's really helped, hey, speak of the devil, and that's really helped support the stream and keep me on this content streak, so very much appreciated. I think that's everything I have to say about the deck list. Let's jump into a league here. Hey, Fine and Andy, by the way, what do you teach? I didn't ask before. You were grading some stack of papers a while back. What's your subject matter? Oh, excellent. I made it through AP Calculus, and then I did a bunch of chemistry in college, which is secretly math. They tell you it's science, but no, chemistry, really just math with a lot more letters in it. So I liked math growing up, but had kind of a rough high school math career in that I took a class that was too easy, then I took a class that was too hard, then I took a class that was too easy, then I took a class that was too hard. I got poor placement my freshman year because I thought that getting like a 94% in a class was bad from the school that I was coming from. So I took intermediate algebra instead of algebra 2 my freshman year of high school. And then I boomeranged back and forth between like the advanced placement, or I guess the honors courses and the regular courses, as I tried to like figure out where I was actually supposed to be. Yeah. So like math is something I wish I was better at some practical levels. Like I would love to take like a probability and or statistics course at some point. Yeah, good luck, have fun. You too, he says as he prepares to turn 1 Chalice, turn 2 Nahiri. Yeah, I was actually having a chat with administration the other day about like the difficulties of offering good high school math classes and like what we can do to set the kids up for success in terms of placement. If this was a Chandra, we could have turn 1'd it. It's not a Chandra, but it's still sweet. Oh, I've done enough science to know that you have to look critically at any data that is presented to you. That I understand already. So this is actually a very interesting turn. It's the turn where we decide, are we playing Nahiri or are we playing Karn? And it's hard to say against Island Island. Karn is probably the better planeswalker. But Nahiri looting through these lands and drawing me into more gas is probably pretty good. And I think Karn becomes more threatening when I can play him with more mana available. So I think I'm going to go that route. Bow down before my planeswalker opponent. No! Curious Obsession. Okay. That means that we are playing against the True Name Nemesis Hexproof deck. Boy, do I know how to call him or what? Blood Moon, you're a touch late to the party. What do we have on the sideboard for True Name? The answer is Ensnaring Bridge. So I can... Apologies for jamming this trash. Bro, I just cast Nahiri. It's all good. So I think I'm going to Karn Tutor for Bridge and let my opponent kill the Karn. Part of me is thinking about getting Wormcoil Engine here, but I think that's too cute. I think Bridge is just going to be very good as this game goes long. So in some ways, that's actually good for us. My god. My opponent chose not to kill my Karn. I repeat, my opponent chose not to kill my Karn. This is not a drill. This is not a drill. So we cast Bridge, and it just resolved. The world is my oyster. The Scotland Rival Master is super awkward in the face of this True Name Nemesis. I think I'm going to get down this Blood Moon, so I stop hurting myself with my spells. We're not going to turn anything. I think we're in pretty good shape to win this one. I don't know how many outs my opponent is going to have main deck to Ensnaring Bridge. So I can go 1, 2, 3 Rabble Master, then 1, 2, 3 something else that I get off of Karn. And be Hellbent and not be attacking into True Name. Yes. Coding. 1, 2 for coding. 1, 2, 3 for Rabble Master. We'll pass the turn. Oh no, I need to get rid of this Spirit Guide. So upkeep, we Rishadan-port the plains. Well, Innistrad Revenue Service, if you stick around or you catch the VOD later, either way, enjoy. Good luck with the homework. Okay, so as we're seeing, Ensnaring Bridge is going to be very good against my opponent's deck, but awkward with my Nahiri package. So there's that. So I want to be able to get Bridge, Coding, Lattice with this. Yeah, I believe that. This week is a rarity. Next week we'll return more or less back to regular schedules. Thursdays are going to stay donation goals. So I'm going to try to start doing 3 days a week as long as people are supporting that. And then daily D&T as well. So I think I want my bridges. I think I want the sword over the Jitte. Actually, Spellskite is freaking hilarious. So, some or all of the Nahiri package needs to go. At least this Emrakul needs to go. The Nahiris are still looting, and they still could, like, find me a Batterskull or a bridge awkwardly. But I think I'm going to end up dropping most or all of this package. Because this deck is really cool. So I think we'll go Bridge in, Sword in, Spellskite in. Since I've taken out some win conditions, I can consider just playing Wormcoil Engine as something that can help, like, crack back and fill the gaps. Which I don't hate. Pro Blue Wormcoil Engine, get there, GG, question mark. Some awkward things can happen in this game involving, like, my Goblin Rabble Masters and their life-linking creatures. Yeah, a lot of people dump on Karn. But I think Karn, in Legacy at least, does create interesting gameplay. Not always, like some games it's just like, oh, I turned 2 Karn, I turned 3 Lattice, you GG. But I think a lot of times there's some really cool sub-games going on involving Karn. Oh, the Planeswalkers, Batman. I think we need to mulligan this for something that can actually cast a spell. This fits the bill. I will keep this. Our Blood Moons are medium. Our Rabble Master is medium. Our Chalice is good. I think this side of the hand is the good side of the hand. I'm going to dump the Rabble Master here. Oh, well, sorry, I didn't make that connection, guys. Thank you very much for supporting. I don't know if you missed the beginning or not, but I changed just a couple of cards from your deck list to make the mana slightly better. I added a basic mountain so that we could be a little bit better versus Delver, and I went up to more copies of Arid Mesa over other fetches to support that decision. Oh, this hand is very good now. Very good. But I did not touch any of the spells. I thought the spells were a good starting point. more generally, I just want to repeat something else from the beginning of the stream now that a few more people are here. Thank you all for the support this week. It's meant a lot, you know. I had a week where I could really go all in on legacy content since my girlfriend was busy all week, and I got so much love from the community. Well, opponent's at 19. All right, a true name gone. That's great. That's a problem card for us. True name's very good against these red prison style decks. So I can Moon this turn through a Spell Pierce, or I can Karn this turn through a Daze. My opponent will get an island, presumably, if I just cast Moon. Keeping them from casting another true name is good. And if I just play Blood Moon this turn into Karn next turn, I can play the Blood Moon around Pierce, and then make it hard for my opponent to hold up mana. I think I'm in for that. He says as he plays the Chrome Mox, meaning that I need to change the line that I took. Oops. So now my line is jam Karn, see if Karn resolves. If Karn resolves, next turn I have the possibility of Mycosynth Lattice win. I'm not, however, going to get Mycosynth Lattice right now. I'm going to get Coding right now. The reason being that next turn I can Coding and Bridge and potentially go Hellbent. This is interesting. I have not seen Snapcaster Mage in this shell before. So they can kill my Karn, but I don't think they draw a card. So I have 6 mana available to me. That's Trinisphere and Ensnaring Bridge. The Trinisphere can be awkward with some of our potential draws. But this means that the bridge does resolve. No, I do not expect my opponent to have Lightning Bolts. Opponent is playing essentially a legacy version of a Boggles deck. They have Curious Obsession and the blue-white one, I think it's Staggering Insight, that gives you some lifelink and lets you draw a card in the same capacity. Goodbye, Curious Obsession. Goodbye, City of Traders. So we need to play out everything so that we can avoid the Invisible Stalker just pecking us. Meddling Mage is powerful. Naming Karn the Great Creator. That seems good. So now we do have some draws that are, like, quote-unquote dead. But if all we do is take 1 damage per turn on turns where we have a Karn in hand, that's not the end of the world. Also, little known fact. Ooh! Little known fact. You can imprint Karn under Chrome Mox. Opponent doing a little bit of deck thinning there. Please don't have Force of Will. We're doing it. We're doing it. They get a smiley face in chat. Opponent says, yeah, I can't beat Bridge. Whoops. Opponent has just told me they can't beat Bridge with their current sideboard plan. Time for a Brazen Borrower before next league. Opponent says, yep, very bad. And second straight Karn Bridge lock. So at some point we'll ultimate Ajani, blow up all their lands, and then find a way to win from there. If we draw Karn, we can Ajani Lightning Bolt Meddling Mage. I guess technically I should cast the Rabble Master first, in case they counter it. I am blowing up all of their lands, fine and dandy, and you can't stop me because it is going to be too much fun. I also should consider, like, moving the Batterskull onto the Goblin Rabble Master or something like that, but whatever. There's probably very minimal risk. They might have, like, a Council's Judgment or something. I will probably play patiently. So if our bridge ever goes, that's real good. So we're not going to pay life to equip the sword, but we'll slowly start putting the sword and the Batterskull in one place. Jitte. Sure. Sure. A Chrome Mox. That's fine. So we'll do our due diligence and pay 3 mana there. Not yet. Patience. Patience. Opponent's a trooper for not conceding. I will totally give them that. I think that's a misplay. I think that's supposed to go on Invisible Stalker in case I actually do give my opponent a chance to do something. GG's. Alright, they've let it go now that I've had the chance to ultimate my Planeswalker. GG's. 3 converted mana cost, imprint Chrome Mox. Chef's kiss. Good stuff. Alright, Victor, what are you bringing to the table? I will keep this hand. I don't know what direction we're going to go with it yet. Are we just playing a Stoneforge on 1? Or are we going all in on this Blood Moon? I can play this any degree of conservatively, or just YOLO. I think I'm going to put the Stoneforge under this. And I'm going to Chrome Mox again. And I'm going to put the Spirit Guide under this one. And then we're going to play Blood Moon effects 2 turns in a row. There's a lot of ways to play that turn. Like, you have three cards to consider. Like, you lose 2 of them to play 1, or you can lose 1 to play the Stoneforge. Alright, Forest Pitch a True Name. Interesting. Swamp. So we might be playing against some sort of, like, yikes, some sort of, like, Grixis mid-range deck. Our Magus is now considerably worse that our opponent has double basic lands. But we're still going to stop our opponent from shuffling, which is worth a decent amount. I don't think I'm going to attack the Magus into Snapcaster Mage. You know what? Screw it. Get in there. All right. This game is going better than I expected. Opponent's just not casting spells. I don't know if they were just flooded out or what. No, this is a different opponent. What am I getting here? Evening. Sword of Fire and Ice doesn't seem like the worst. Liquid Metal Coating's good, but bad if the Karn disappears. I'm going to go ahead and take the coating. I think it's just fine, though. Wow, no end of turn flash threat, no counter spells. Multiple Mystic Sanctuaries there. Wow, okay. Target your swamp. Blow up your swamp. Is my opponent just playing for information and I've just secretly killed them? Because that's kind of what it's starting to feel like. We saw Force Pitch Trune multiple Mystic Sanctuaries. So my opponent is a blue-black X control deck. So versus control, I like this over this. My opponent probably has Planeswalkers or equipment or something that Spyglass is going to be good against. My Spell Guide is probably good. I'm going to lean towards Bridge being bad, and I will consider bringing in the Wormcoil Engine. So as of right now, I'm just bringing in a Spellskite. I will just probably trim a piece of mana for that. Like a lotus petal. Honestly, we seem pretty good against control decks. Like we have a lot of things going on. If we're casting spells, we probably make our opponent's life miserable. Like, I really don't hate bringing in this Wormcoil. But leaving it in the board for those times where, like, the Karn is going to die and I just need to get a threat is probably superior. Yes. This is a potent combination. And we have the mana that we can throw away this City of Traders pretty easily. Now our hand's bad. Yikes. Okay. This is the game where we learn what my opponent is playing. I don't know if I like that brainstorm. But okay. This is the game where we learn what my opponent is playing and then sideboard appropriately for game 3. Or that can happen. Do I want to take a turn off first to play Spellskite to make the Magus safer? Because, like, this could just be representing Fatal Push, Dismember, any number of things. I believe that the answer is yes. Okay. So, I can't do Chalice and Magus in the same turn. I think the Chalice is more important. We're going to try to resolve that. Yes, this will probably be a long-ish game. So you need the lands in play for you to be able to return something with this. That true name is very annoying for us. Our bridges are in the sideboard currently. Nice. That exiles the Bitter Blossom. Boo! Boo! So as of right now, each turn we take damage increasing by 1. So it's 4, followed by 5, followed by 6. We do not have a lot of time. That finds a snaring bridge, though. So never mind. And we'll have Ensnaring Bridge protected by a Spellskite. Yes. Ensnaring Bridge. Castromox. Imprint Magus. Cast Bridge. Now, I don't know if you playing along at home have figured this out yet, but next turn I cast Mycosynth Lattice, and then assuming that I can get the other card out of my hand, my opponent bleeds to death via their own Bitter Blossom. Auri Power, just grab one off like MTG top 8. I am not playing a ton of D&T right now. Like, I played like 10 leagues this week, but none of them have been with D&T. Abrupt Decay the Spellskite. Well, that occurs. Ooh. What are we getting out of the sideboard, if anything? I can go Ajani, then minus this, and just get another bridge to be safe. I think that's probably what I'm doing. Now do I care about Swamp or Trop? Either one works towards Abrupt Decay, which is the problem card right now. I feel like most of my opponent's answers to my bridge would be green, like the Return to Nature or Abrupt Decay. So I think Trop is more valuable. Trop stops Back to Nature, where Swamp stops like a random Planeswalker or something like that. The discard I don't care about. I'm gonna go with Trop. Like an Oko coming down would be bad, for example. Alright, so now we have 2 Planeswalkers, 2 Bridges. We already have our win condition in play. It's my opponent's Bitter Blossom. I do unfortunately have to play that. But that's probably okay. We plus on the Trop. We plus on none of these things. We just hit OK. And continue. I'm going to go ahead and fetch. We don't really want to... Well, drawing lands is fine, but we don't need more land. So might as well take them out of our deck. Very happy with that. We'll keep their mountain tapped. We plus on Karn. All right. I don't really know what was up with opponent's deck. We saw some bits and pieces of it, but I can't exactly give you an archetype name there. Like, presumably there were, like, Okos and Jaces in there or something, and there was some sort of, like, bug control deck, but we didn't see too many cards out of them. Deck list is feeling pretty smooth. Johnny's been a bit of an all-star. Got an ultimate off last match, and then just, like, eliminated a lot of my opponent's outs this match with it. So it's been very good. Yeah, I mean, it's like the legacy bingo board, right? Where you're like, hey, what's a weird way to kill the opponent? Ah, kill them with their own Bitter Blossom. That's a good one. Also on the bingo board, we need to get an Emrakul attack. So, say I have 71 cards on Cardboard Live? That shouldn't be correct. Yeah, I have 60 and 15. 30, 36, 40, 60. Yeah, I know. I read your analysis of why it could be good, but I think having better stability versus Delver is way more important than the Nahiri backdoor. Oh, Kaz, I see now. I got it. I got it. Senior Stompy. Turn 1 Stoneforge Mystic. That's fine. Do I know what my opponent plays? I should. Reanimator. This is not a good hand versus Reanimator. Although all of his results are from 2018. This is already kind of one card down anyway because of the Batter Skull. I think I can justify mulliganing this one. Yeah. Yeah. What you throw back is actually very interesting here. So I don't have access to red or white right now with this hand. So if I want to have a threat, I really need to keep the Chrome Mox. I'm going to toss back this Jitte. Yeah. Against Preordained, definitely feel better about this Chalice opener than the Stoneforge opener. Do I want to play Chalice of the Void around Days? Yes, I think I do. I'm not expecting Days. But I think I just want to go Chalice into Rabblemaster with this hand. There's also an argument for just jamming turn 1 Rabblemaster with the Chalice on 0, in case my opponent is playing Breach. But there's too many combo decks that start with Preordained. Oh! Like, I'm sad the Chalice got countered, but, like, boy, I feel smart for playing out the Chrome Mox. So we could just be playing a Delver deck that has basics and Preordained in flex slots, or we could be playing against some combo deck. Still too early to tell. Result? 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 If this eats another Force of Will, I'm also happy with that turn of events, honestly. So from here, we'll be looking to Wow, a third basic island. Are we just playing against like High Tide? Sort of a weird draw, but I dig it. I think we're just going to go for a connection here with Jitte. Gives us our life back from Ancient Tomb. Oh, okay, our opponent is Show and Tell. Now we know. But yeah, it's a real rarity when you have the option to Stoneforge, search up Batterskull, and hardcast it in the same turn. Is my opponent dead on their turn? So 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, they're not dead, right? They go to 1, so they can't fetch again. Right, I didn't miscount that, did I? Oh, but my opponent just Brainstorm locked themselves. Okay. Okay, so Show and Tell is an amazing combo deck against these sorts of decks. My opponent will certainly be favored against us. A lot of our lock pieces don't actually stop them. So we'll bring in Spyglass for Grizzlebrand or Fetchland. We'll bring in Bridge. If we don't cut the Stoneforge package, we'll play Sword of Fire and Ice, but we might end up cutting this. Nahiri is awkward. So if we have a bridge in play, that stops our ultimate. But if somehow my opponent just puts in a sneak attack or an omniscience and doesn't kill us, Nahiri threatens to just exile that thing. So I may end up keeping these in the deck. I will also 100% keep my own Emrakul to put in via Show and Tell, because that's hilarious. So I think those 4 cards are going, and if I cut those, then Batterskull goes too. So advantages of playing like this. The advantages of playing like this are that I have a lot of lock pieces and a lot of planeswalkers. The disadvantages of playing like this are my Nahiris run into my own ensnaring bridge problems, and my curve starts at 3, basically, outside of Spyglass and Chalice. So I lose out on my best early plays. But I think I just accept that. We have the bridge, which is great, but I can't actually cast any of my spells. So I think I'm going to ship this one. This hand is amazing. Keep. Blood Moon probably goes under Chrome Mox. So Blood Moon goes under Chrome Mox, then I have City of Traders for 3 mana. Mountain is probably the weak link in this hand that I throw back. Although that's pretty weird. You want a YOLO? Let's YOLO. How's it feel over there, friend? How's it feel? So the next thing is, since my opponent just, like, YOLO'd on Ancient Tomb, do I just moon them now and lose my Rabble Master? I think the answer is yes. We can win somehow later. But I think I'm going to take the chance to just, like, get my opponent on this one. Note that my opponent can have an Abrade or something like that to answer this Ensnaring Bridge and get through this. Alright, Force, City Valk. Okay. We will name Sneak Attack there, because that's a way that my opponent could get back in this game at some point. The Grizzlebrand probably not doing a lot. This gives me 2 colors and will let me cast other things, but I don't think I need to go that route yet. Because if we naturally draw a Plains, I can just cast this instead. Delicious. Opponent probably Force of Wills it, but we'll try. Their spells aren't doing a ton else, so. Force pitching a Drawn from Dreams. That's fine. I don't need to play that around Soft Permission. I can just play that. Alright. Now that I'm about to throw down the Trinisphere, I'm okay with throwing that away. The Nahiri also means that we can cast a future Nahiri or anything else. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4. Karn. Karn minus. Use the ability. Yes. Mycosynth, Lattice. Pass turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. I only have 5 mana currently, so I will need to draw another mana source. We wouldn't have drawn the mana source. Folks, I just want to point out that we haven't dropped a game yet with this deck. That's unexpected, but a welcome surprise to be sure. The core of the Prison Shell is incredibly powerful right now. This morning's deck list was a rough one. I was demoralized by the end of that stream, and that doesn't happen very often. Like, usually, even if I'm losing, I'm having fun, but that one was just like, oh my gosh. Guys, thank you so much for sending this deck list my way. I am having a blast this evening playing with these cards. There's definitely some non-bows in the deck. But a lot of those non-bows don't come up until the post-sideboarded games, so it's probably fine. So, like, the Ensnaring Bridge Emrakul element is weird. the Blood Moon, but having other colors in your deck is weird. But we haven't tripped over ourselves very much. And Nahiri under Chrome Mox has been stellar. Been, like, really impressed with that. $20 lands feels right. I definitely like the additional Lotus Petal, though. So, normally, Red Prison is on about, like, 19 lands and 4 Chrome Moxen. Like, sometimes you'll play Lotus Petals as well, depending on how combo-oriented the metagame is. But since we're looking to play a few more 4-drops than normal, like, adding 2 extra mana sources seems really good. Kazurban. I'm gonna keep this. It's a little bit of a medium hand in my mind. We'll have the option to do a turn 1 Stoneforge or a turn 2 Blood Moon. We do a turn... Hey, Phil, good luck. You too. Oh, it's Doug's. I think it's Doug's. Dugaze? I'm gonna go with Doug's. Doug's on Twitch. Not 100% sure. But I think they were gonna be playing Loam. Alright. So this Blood Moon is going to be great against our opponent, especially after we Karn. My Stoneforge is good. I don't know that it's turn 1 good, though. I kind of just want to Plains pass Blood Moon on turn 2 and go from there. Another Bob. I mean, obviously I don't have the Swords to Plowshares. I would have done it already. Oh man, opponent doesn't have more lands. I'm going to get another Plains out of my deck here. Surprise! Opponent's Bobs are being cooperative. So now all I need to do is keep my life total decently high. And I probably win. That is a lot of Bob. That is a lot of Bob. Mountain. For the sake of mana efficiency, I'm going to play a Goblin Rabble Master this turn. These are the kindest bobs I think I've ever seen. They're just giving my opponent so many mountains. Yeah. So this was the other reason to play out the Rabblemaster first. It's so it can serve as a bait spell. Yeah, that is what I did not want to see. That is disastrous for me. So I can chump block Knight, take 6, go to 1, not be able to empty my hand enough for Ensnaring Bridge. The Karn is not an option. Stoneforge for Batterskull. Chump block here. Chump block here. Take 6, go to 1. Put in Batterskull with 2 mana. I have 2 mana available. I will need to chump block one other thing, so I will need to draw a Stoneforge Mystic next turn to live. Yeah. Not great. So a Punishing Fire kills me, an Abrupt Decay kills me. Basically any spell kills me, and my opponent gets so many looks. Alright, yeah, I'm dead to that Abrupt Decay. Darn you, Mox Diamond! Alright. Those were kind bobs. GG. So, I am probably not going to Trinisphere against my opponent. Under normal circumstances, I don't really think Jitte is great. It would have been great that game because of Bob's. But I think under normal circumstances, I'd rather have Sword of Fire and Ice, just protect from Punishing Fire. I don't think I'm going to board in Bridges, because the Nahiri ultimate for Emrakul is probably one of the primary ways that I win. So instead, I'm going to board in Spellskite and either like in Wormcoil or in Sorcerous Spyglass. What if I trim a Stoneforge and play a Spyglass? That seems fine. Then I leave a Spyglass in the board to shut off like an Oko or something like that, but also have one in the main deck to hedge. Chalice is looking to go on 0 in this match, and Doug's has made us to bleed. So the ideal start is one where we can Blood Moon and Chalice on 0. That's pretty much impossible to beat outside of, like, Force of Vigor. It can occur, but it's real hard. I would like to play first. Turn 1 YOLO Magus. It's awkward. Because then I can't play the Stoneforge that's in my hand, and it's going to get stuck. But when you have the opportunity to moon against this deck, I think you just go for it. Like, I don't love that this is vulnerable to Punishing Fire. I don't love that my opponent having a Chrome Mox in their opener undoes a lot of my work. But I think this is where we're at in life. We have brought a long pause upon my opponent. That's worth something, but I'm not sure what. All right, what can they be thinking about for this long? Could be thinking about whether or not, like, maybe they can remove the Magus, and they're thinking about whether or not they should, because removing the Magus unlocks my mana again. Maybe they're thinking if they have outs this and they should just concede. Yeah, fine and Andy. The thing is that once the Loam deck has fetched once, they're in much, much better shape. You lose out on so much by letting them do it once. I see the problem. If they're short on resources, this is a dangerous play for them. And they are short on resources. But they can remove my Magus with Swords to Plowshares. I see. So I should really name Wasteland to protect my lands. It's not what I was really intending on doing with this, but okay. So they'll probably end of my turn remove Magus. Oh, nope, just Plague Engineer. On Goblin. I'm almost excited. I'm almost excited. You should scroll over Cardboard Live extension and reread this card if you want me to name Mox Diamond. game is going to get weird. Okay. On the Chrome Mox. That's interesting. I think that's a little aggressive. I think if I were them, I would also be pretty inclined to have already Swords to Plowshare the Magus. So the Chandra's going in play. Auri Power, reread Mox. And then reread Sorcerer's Spyglass. That's your homework assignment. I think I just need to remove this Bob. The Bob threatens way too much. So here's the Swords of Plowshares finally on that card. Oh, okay. I was gonna say. It just looked weird because of the first strike damage on the Chandra. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. This gets me a Plains. I have no white cards, so this gets me a Mountain. So the position is now interesting, because my opponent is going to end of turn Abrupt Decay my Stoneforge, then they will Wasteland one of my 2 soul lands, probably Wasteland my city. So I will need to spike either a colored card or a land in order to hardcast the Batterskull. Or no, I guess Thalia is problematic here. I'm really surprised they didn't end of turn. Oh, no, there's the Sorcerer's Spyglass that I forgot about from earlier. So they can just Abrupt Decay the Stoneforge, and then I can hardcast it. So opponent instead may need 2 removal spells, so that when I put in the Batterskull on their turn, they can decay the germ, get in for 4, and then when I go to try to gain life another way. Okay. So as cool as this Simian Spirit Guide is, I can't play it and then tap Ancient Tomb. So I need to just pass the turn here. Because if I tap Ancient Tomb, I just die to the Abrupt Decay that's on board. Interesting game is interesting. We're very close to stabilizing, but we basically have no hate cards for my opponent. So they can have a lot of draws that really mess me up. The only thing I'm stopping from them is Wasteland. More colored mana, you say? Alright. Discard Blast Zone? Okay. So they can still Abrupt Decay. And I can't Moon and Spirit Guide. I'm not sure it is unfortunate Mox timing. I'm thinking about it. Actually, the Thalia makes it awkward. If my opponent plays well, I think I'm dead. If my opponent messes up, I'm not dead. So my opponent can attack. After blocks, specifically after blocks, my opponent needs to decay the germ. If they do it before blocks, I can just, like, Stoneforge bounce, redeploy Batterskull. It also really sucks that I can't just, like, Spirit Guide and Blood Moon. Because of the Thalia. So, like, I could Blood Moon for 4 mana, and then I can't also Spirit Guide. I'm gonna play towards my opponent making an error here because I think I'm on the ropes. Well, punishing fire would be a kick in the pants. Oh man, no attack. No attack. I might be able to gain some traction here then. I need 5 mana for what I want to do with that, so that's all of this. I could go 1, 2, 3 to cast the Spirit Guide, and then redeploy a city. I would still have enough mana to do what I want to do, but just have 1 more chump blocker. Alright, things feel okay. Not good, but okay. Nazavith. Nazavith. That is a problem. So now my opponent's sitting there thinking about the Abrupt Decay. Like, what can they Abrupt Decay in this position? Oh, they're holding for information there. I don't like it when my opponent casts things. Swords to Plowshares the Stoneforge Mystic. That is a disaster. That should mean I lose the game. Because now they can also just Abrupt Decay my Germ token. Yep. And I'm forced to chump block the knight or die. That seems like a mistake. You just let the Spirit Guide die. And then at the end of combat, you do that. So now my Spirit Guide lives, and I can put the Batter Skull on it? Yeah. The Avatar State, thank you very much for following, as well as Tulla Gamer. I missed you earlier. Alright, so, like, we'll make our opponent do this. They have me dead on board. but I can't attack into the knight, or they just, like, grow it too big. Let's give them a chance to mess up. But this is just attacking with everything. Whatever I block with Spirit Guide, you just maze, and I die. Oh, shoot! No! Real Peaches, you're right. Oh my god. No forest or plains. So I had a safe attack in on the Knight of the Reliquary. Oh my god. Ugh. Ooh, what a game. Alright, I'm gonna run to the restroom. I'll be right back, then we'll go into round 5. Where's that be right back screen? Go to that be right back screen. Ooh. Let's get out of that be right back screen. Here we go. Alright, Phil Gallagher back again, going into round 5 with our red-white web. Blah, 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 blah. Excuse me. With our red-white prison deck, we're currently 3-1. Deck has felt great, but Loam often matches up pretty well against these red prison decks. They can play around the moon effects better than you might expect from a land-focused deck. Definitely had a punt there at the end of that match. I don't know that we're beating them long-term anyway, but I definitely could have remained in the game. I'm going to keep this. We have a lot of draws that just make this hand silly. Even just something like any red or white card makes it so we can have a crazy aggressive curve. So it could be playing against something like Ant, could be playing against a like Grixis or Bug, Delver, or Control deck. Hard to say so far. If I'm being honest, I think the best card in my hand is actually the Chrome Mox. but I'm not sure that you can take the Chrome Mox, because if you take the Chrome Mox, I still have turn 2 Rabblemaster into turn 3 Karn, and that's still a very powerful curve. So I think you probably have to take one of these two. Yeah. Because that, in turn, makes the Chrome Mox worse. All right. Plateau, go. We will have a turn 2 Trinisphere, and that's historically pretty good against blue decks. I'm inclined to think that my opponent is combo if they are going to main phase a Brainstorm like that. They could be fishing for another piece of discard if they're a discard-heavy deck. I expect to lose the Trinisphere here. My current inclination is that my opponent is Ant, but I don't know that for sure. Any colored spell? No. So unfortunately, we have no play yet again. So my opponent is like a Storm deck. You know, the coast is clear to try. I don't know that they can go off very easily, so they brainstormed, and they've just gotten the cards back that they've drawn, and they couldn't go off last turn. They've only gained 1 mana by hitting another land drop, so I don't know that they have enough resources to actually go off. They can. Like, it can just be like double Dark Writ into Ad Nauseam and probably win from there. But if our opponent goes off this turn, it's just a very small difference in resources from last turn. Oh, alright, opponent is not Storm. They are a control deck. Note that my opponent is at 12 from their Thoughtseize and Fetches. So we can very easily just kill them with a threat. Yeah, notice that they take my Batterskull here, leaving me with Karns. Whatever I get here is vulnerable to yet another Thoughtseize effect, but I think that's okay. I'm going to put the liquid metal coating into my hand. Just, like, guarantee that we can get a card out of our Karn, in case my opponent has, like, an Assassin's Trophy or something like that. And then since we have the other Karn, this being in our hand isn't all that bad. The real goal is to use Karn to get Wormcoil Engine, and 2 Wormcoil hits kills our opponent. So I'm going to have Liquid Metal Coating plus Chalice on my turn. My opponent chose not to shuffle with the Ponder. What does that mean? Alright, so my opponent put some pressure in play. That's fine. The secondary Karn will get Ensnaring Bridge and lock my opponent out from attacking, at least temporarily. I don't think I want to lose the City of Traders this turn, because its Ancient Tomb allows me to Mycosynth Lattice at some point. So I think we just go for the coating. Let's take them off of their green. Put a Chalice on 1 so they can't cantrip. Pass the turn. Lose this Karn. But be pretty well set up for the fight that follows. It's a bit of an unusual card for this metagame. Yikes. Jace is very good against me. Narset not so much. I think holding back the Plague Engineer is probably pretty poor for my opponent since they have Engineer on Goblin. So I can't Karn and Bridge in the same turn. The Bridge is also dubious in the face of Jace. So I should think of this Karn as effectively having 6 loyalty. 4 of it is for the creatures that are in play. Two of it is probably to tutor the next turn. So I think my winning line is try to keep them off of Jace via Karn Plus. I could technically wait in between phases there, but it's whatever. So I'm just thinking about this City of Traders. Having access to 6 mana next turn is nice, but also, like, being able to guarantee to empty my hand for if I, like, need to bridge or something is fine, too. I'm just going to go ahead and pass the turn without playing a land. I don't know that I can win if my opponent hits a land drop this turn. Like, if they just go land Jace, I think things kind of slip away from me. I mean, thank you. Alright, I have so many good draws. That's frustrating. It's really legitimately frustrating. Am I just converting into Wormcoil Engine? It's, again, so bad if my opponent just rips a land for Jace. But I don't know that I have much of a choice. Because otherwise I just, like, blow up a land, Karn's at 3 loyalty, and then dies to double attack. Don't forget we lose the Karn in this process. So liquid metal coating is no longer Rashatenport. So we're just super soft to them ripping land at any point. The longer the game goes, the more favored my opponent is, so I'm going to send in the Wormcoil. I will trade it for Plague Engineer. And if my opponent Jaces, at least they have to -2 twice to get rid of both of my tokens. But yeah, opponent ripping a land for Jace is me being donezo. Yep, GG. A Chandra to get rid of Snapcaster Mage here would be hot. Or another Planeswalker. Nope, nope. 100% blame the deck for this loss. Like, we've had so many good draws at so many opportunities this game, even after getting triple Thoughtseized at the beginning. There's some awkwardness here in that if I Chalice on 2, I'm preventing myself from later drawing Karn and Sorceress Spyglassing. But I think if I get Karn later, I can probably just win via Mycosynth Lattice instead. So I think I am going to go ahead and do this. We are presumably going to get one more turn before my opponent gets to start burying me in card advantage via Jace. Yeah, that is how it works. I will now draw Stoneforge and put it under Chrome Mox. Thank you. This is a very good draw. Not being sarcastic, it's just a very good draw. Oh my god. Alright. Alright. Did not expect to win this game. Like, we flooded out so bad in the middle there. We just had, like, so much awkwardness after the triple Thoughtseize at the beginning. But, like, double Chalices there, and the ability to finally take out the Jace worked. Okay. So, what won me that game? What won me that game was converting Karn to Wormcoil and trading Wormcoil for Plague Engineer. That was a very good decision on my end that had huge payoff. Okay. So my opponent has multiple Planeswalkers, so Spyglass is probably good against them. Spellskite is probably great against my opponent. I'll board in at least one of these. I will probably trade Jitte for Sword of Fire and Ice. My moon effects are going to be a little worse on the draw. They'll still They'll still stop my opponent from shuffling, though. So my current Karn package looks like this, with honorary mentions to, like, Bridge, Crypt, and Jitte for fringe scenarios. I think I'm okay with a Petal coming out. And I think I'm okay with one Blood Moon effect coming out. Those are my current thoughts. I'm going to keep this hand. You may think I'm crazy, but we get to Spyglass a fetch land on turn 1 into Karn on turn 2. That's a fine opening hand if my opponent does not have, like, multiple Thoughtseizes again. And if they do, any red source or a Mox just lets us, like, Blood Moon early, and that's great too. Alright, you Thoughtseize me. No, you Astrolabe. That's fine. Karn shuts that off. Ooh. Ooh. I still think I'm just going for Spyglass on 1 into Karn on 2, but that's definitely interesting. We will name Oko. So I am going to get him to Turok on my turn. Having red mana seems important. So I'm going to tear apart my own hand a little bit here. To just make it more likely that I'm not knocked out of the game for mana reasons. Wow, opponent not going for a him here. Seems kind of crazy to me. Him's so powerful. Hold up. Hold up. This does not deny me mana. You've just given me a basic land. That makes no sense. Now I can just drop a Karn. I can also just moon them and keep them from casting Oko, right? They only have one of their colors for Oko right now, off Astrolabe. They don't have both if I moon. Yeah, so I think I just moon into Karn if I draw a land. Otherwise, I moon man into moon man. If I moon, I will get hemmed or Tarmogoyfed. Karn stops Astrolabe, which means I don't get hemmed. Oh, right. Sorry, I forgot about my Spyglass. Sorry, haven't been looking at this, not my own board. Yeah, I should just totally play Karn. Unless my opponent's last card is Force of Will. This is just insane. I don't even think of... No, I'll minus for... Will I? So my opponent will just play Tarmogoyf as board currently stands. So I'll want to be able to minus for bridge. How big's Tarmogoyf? Land, instant, artifact. Tarmogoyf is a 3/4. If I bridge, I'll have 4 cards in hand. I kind So I could get Petal, next turn play a Ajani, Karn minus for something else, and just like treat this Karn as a value Karn. That's probably the weirdest Karn line I've taken in a long time. But it seems fine and should open up a lot of doors. Oh wow, is opponent just gonna pass the turn? We're in combat already. Alright, you have Assassin's Trophy Karn. I have bad news for your friend. That's not going to turn out quite as well as you want. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. We get to both Ajani and Magus. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. Yeah, we're good. So we'll Magus first. The opponent is just F6'd. Is this good? Is this good? Feels fine. So we've kept our opponent from him rocking our last card. My opponent can attack in with Tarmogoyf. I chump block with Spirit Guide, and then I just keep the Tarmogoyf tapped down while threatening to Armageddon my opponent. Seems good. There goes the Ponder. I don't know how many Tarmogoyfs my opponent plays, but that's probably what they're looking for. No shuffle with the Ponder. Stoneforge. Nice. So my opponent can hymn that out of my hand, unfortunately. So I should have considered playing that turn differently. Like, I could have considered keep Swamp tap down, play Stoneforge and Magus, chump block Tarmogoyf with Magus, and then actually get the Batterskull into play. But if my opponent spends their entire turn hymning, and I just keep this Tarmogoyf tapped down while I swing for 5, that does not seem like the end of the world at all. Fatal Push the Stoneforge does not seem like the best line that was available to them. I don't know what else they have. That sort of daggers. I don't regret playing the Batterskull at all there, for the record. So the real question is, do I just ultimate my opponent and destroy 4 lands, leaving them with a Tarmogoyf that I can't check? Or do I wait another turn? Feels like they found Snapcaster Mage. They did. That's really unfortunate. Now this Tarmogoyf destroys me in short order. Plenty of good top decks here. But I'm at a huge disadvantage. It's like if I draw Karn, I have Karn into Bridge available. I mean, they can also realistically answer Ajani just by playing out another creature, right? Alright, so Snapcaster's Mage for Assassin's Trophy blows up the Sorcerer's Spyglass on Oko and unlocks Oko. Or alternatively, they just blow up one of my Magus and ruin me that way. I don't think I can beat Oko here. The thing I don't like about Chalice on 2 is also that, like, we have Stoneforge and Sorcerer's Spyglass and Liquid Metal Coating as cards on 2 that we might want to be playing this game. I also really dislike, well, unless my opponent has Fatal Push, I really dislike this line that they're taking, because it just gives me more bodies against their attacks. If they have a Fatal Push, this is fine. See, like, they've made a body that helps me beat their Snapcasters. So this is lethal. I do have to block one more time. I take 6 and go to 2 here. Okay. Opponent. If you have the Fatal Push, why did you let me block with... never mind. How much mana do I have? I have 5. I can bridge, but then bridge gets Oko'd. I can Spyglass Oko, but then I die on board. So we have to get bridge. Bridge will get Oko'd, but maybe we live still. And we leave ourselves with top decks to beat our opponent. Imagine what our position would be like if our opponent just killed my Chalice of the Void prior to combat last time around. So, we block Snapcaster. We block this. We turn on my opponent's lands again. However, I actually kind of end up accelerating. I get a little bit of mana ahead due to getting my double City of Traders back. Now this Hymn to Turok's going to be gone. Alright, chat. I'm at 2 and my opponent wastelanded Ancient Tomb. 2. 2 life. And my opponent wastelanded Ancient Tomb. Alright, do they have a removal spell for this? If they don't, I can just get Spyglass for Oko, shut off Oko, chump block Tarmogoyf with Ensnaring Bridge, plus Karn on this Trinisphere. And then just need to, like, buy one turn until I can Karn for an Ensnaring Bridge that isn't dealt with by Oko. I guess Lattice does the same thing. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let me count that again. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is enough. So we start here. It resolves. Yeah, I don't have to fetch twice. I have to fetch once. Alright. We have to beat a Tarmogoyf. If we beat a Tarmogoyf, we win. We can also just time out my opponent. I don't understand what the dilemma is over there. It's just attack. So I get a block with a Trinisphere, if I need to. That's not great for me. Because this can't turn into a dude. Chalice is very fun to cast under a Blood Moon. Or not under a Blood Moon, under a Trinisphere. X is 1, done. X is 1, done. Plus on this Trinisphere to chump block with it. I wish my life total was a little bit higher so I could just turn my Mycosynth Lattice sideways. Opponent should just be attacking me, but that's semantics. Alright, we need to not draw a blank this turn. Any creature, any artifact with an actual converted mana cost, a planeswalker, like something. God damn it. It's really frustrating. No, they can't take it. Oh, I see what you mean. So they can't take it immediately. They could turn it into an elk and then take it. And that probably gets me. No, I only get one Karn activation. It's like I can't both plus and minus Karn. A Karn on top should mean I win the game. Just Karn is in play, Mycos and Flatus shuts off all my opponent's stuff, and then I minus for Ensnaring Bridge. That's a really frustrating loss. That's a really frustrating loss. Oh, hold up. That was only game 2? We win. We win. Opponent cannot beat me in that amount of time. They just don't have the clock to do it. I'm gonna board in this Sorcerer Spyglass. Just like Oko plussing forever is like one of the easiest ways that they can just go and like kill me super, super quickly. I think I'm going to board this Emrakul out of my deck. Like, if I survive long enough to plus Nahiri that many times, I've just won the game due to clock anyway. So we're going to call that good. Keep. All right, my opponent concedes rather than playing it out, knowing that they are dead to clock. All right, I'm really happy we didn't lose that set to them. I'm not going to claim that I played perfectly in that match. Like, there were definitely some things I could have thought about differently. But, like, when my opponent is casting things into Chalice. You know, I don't like losing to those players. Why not? +1 on Karn, targeting Lattice, pass the turn, then -2 for Ensnaring Bridge. Doing that gives them an active Oko. So losing the Lattice gives them Oko. They would then get to Oko, create another creature, then Oko my bridge. So I don't think that actually puts me into a position where I'm winning. Right? Like, I could be missing something, but like, Oko beats the bridge. So that doesn't actually get me anywhere. Yeah, okay. Let me rehydrate here, and then we'll kind of talk about the deck a little bit more. Alright, so I really liked the changes I made to the mana base. I think having the ability to fetch planes was important, and I think having the basic mountain is very good as well. The Nahiris did not do anything in this league, really. But in a lot of the situations where we drew them, they were used as Chrome Mox fodder to enable a lot of the other stuff. So Nahiri was Chrome Mox fodder, but there were plenty of situations where she would have been good. There's some awkwardness with the Ensnaring Bridge sometimes, but I think it's fine. The Ajanis were quite good, like keeping Tarmogoyfs tapped, ultimating to blow up a bunch of lands. That was very good. So the ultimate question at the end of the day is this shell better than Red Prison? My answer to that is no, it probably isn't. But does this deck have advantages over Red Prison? Yes. You have a bunch of sources of life gain and the ability to answer some permanent types, namely enchantments, that you normally can't in Red alone, without going real deep into the tank for things like Chaos Warp. So I hope you enjoyed this tonight. I had a lot of fun playing this. I'll be back Monday night, probably with High Tide. So current queue, I have a 12-post primer that I'm going to record and post to YouTube. I'm having website issues right now, so that's not going to be an article. So I've got High Tide to play, I have Stasis to play, and I have a Dealer's Choice deck for quote-unquote something fun that I have some ideas for. There's also someone talking about donating for Food Chain. They've sent me a list, but they haven't hit me up with the donation yet. So those are things in our immediate future here. I'm going to turn you over to the absolute coward of a player who stole that 5-0 finish from me. Doug's on Twitch. So I hope you enjoy his stream. You too.